Welcome back to the Football Tragics Matchday 8 review. It was a pretty big week of football. Couple of wins from the boys, couple losses, couple draws. It was Liverpool versus Watford, first game of the round. Morty, you came up against a team that Claudio Ranieri is now in charge of. Did you expect a bit more from them? It's 5-0 result, as you can see there. What were your thoughts on the game?
When I saw our lineup with who were playing goals and our midfield, I was a bit concerned that we're probably going to get counted at least once for a goal. But credit to them. I mean, they kept a clean sheet. I mean, and again, as I said last time, it was kind of our revenge against them from last time for ruining our record. So the boys did have something to prove. And, well, what do I say about our front three?
All getting on the score sheet. Salah with another outrageous goal, probably even better than his one against City. Sorry, go on.
It's up for debate. I mean,
I think this one was well better than the one against City. I don't know, probably obviously weaker opposition, but I think we don't have any chance of scoring the way where he was positioned there. He's been marked by 3 players, gets it out of his feet somehow, still cuts inside, finishes it.
Yeah, but he only dribbled past 50-odd million. I mean, against City, he dribbled past about 270 million or something it was.
5-0. Yes, we're just on it. I think when you guys are on it, you just score goals for fun. The fact Firmino can go and bag a hat trick just shows the levels, I suppose, to that front three. Salah, he's probably the best player in the world at the current minute. I feel like not too many arguments there. Maybe a Lewandowski or a Benzema, but apart from that, you probably have to say it's the most informed player in the league, if not in the world. So I expected a little bit more from Watford, but it's probably the hardest game you can get if you for a brand new manager. You don't want to come up against Liverpool first off, but their season's they've still got plenty of time to turn it around for them. Tony, what were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, obviously, it's probably one of the worst games Ranieri can come in for. Playing Liverpool, like Morty said, there's that revenge. They ruined your record last time. Let's go out there and teach them a lesson. I think it's important to add Salah tied Drogba, if I believe, for the most goals by an African player. He's now equal. And Mane, I think, is only the 3rd player to reach 100 with that goal.
3 goals behind Drogba.
Yeah, so some pretty big statistics coming out for those boys. I didn't expect this to go any other way. I thought it was going to be a bit more competitive, but in the end, we always thought the 3 points were going that way.
Yeah. Campo, what were your thoughts on the game? Pretty obvious result.
Pretty obvious, but Watford didn't look organised at all. Their midfield, it didn't look like they were either sitting back and trying to counter. It all just looked a bit clunky. I don't know what Ranieri's game plan was. It just looked, we'll try and attack when we can, or we'll all push up together. But I just don't know what they were doing. And fair play Liverpool, they punished them every single time.
I think Watford probably put up a better fight if they don't change managers this game, just purely because Ranieri's probably come in. He's gotten less than a week to try just implement his tactics or anything, and so the players are probably scrambling, not knowing exactly what they're doing. But yeah, as I said, this result, good for Liverpool. Obviously, don't want to drop any points. For Watford, they're probably always expected to lose this, so it doesn't mean too much. I think their season's obviously plenty of time for...
It's early days, especially early days under Ranieri. We've seen what he can do. Leicester weren't a powerhouse when he took over, and we saw what he could do. So I'm not saying they're going to go at him in the Premier League, but there's better results to come.
Oh, I'm saying that.
Only if it's 5,000 to 1.
I'm saying those odds. But yeah, good win for Liverpool. Put them back on top of the table at the time, so they're picking up the important wins. It's what you want. We move across to a team that did pick up their first win. Campo, it was Southampton 1-0 over Leeds. Are you going to give them some credit? Come on, give them some credit.
Yeah, look, they won their first game, and again, they should have won 4-0, but that El Yunusi missed a diving header from -1 yard out. These chances, you come up against another team where they will score goals. They looked very flat without Rafinha. They had no spark in the mid. It's a big loss for them. And, fair play to Southampton, but you do that against another team, not taking chances, you'll end up on a loss or a draw.
Yeah, you mentioned Leeds without Rafinha there. It was clear that he's well and truly their best player. He's their massive spark. And I think without him, they do look a bit lost. I think this is the game where you probably expect maybe a Dan James to be able to come in and play like Rafinha, replace him in a way, because, he's bought for his speed and his, I suppose, on the ball skills when he runs with the ball. But yeah, they didn't look good at all. Southampton deserved the win. So first win of the season, I think, like Tony said, he's probably been saying it for a few weeks now, this is going to drive them forward. They're going to be nowhere near the relegation battle at Christmas. And yeah, credit to Southampton. Tony, what were your thoughts on the game though?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you did mention Dan James. He did have a big chance in that game. It did, can't remember if he put it wide or the keeper got a hand to it, but when you bring a player in for 30 million, when you're a team like Leeds, you're expected to finish that. Start to finish, Southampton dominated them. Like Campo said, could have been 3, could have been 4. But I think to get that monkey off your back of your first win for the season, I think they're going to be happy. They're going to take that, and they've got something to build on now.
Absolutely. Morty, do you agree with that?
Yeah, Leeds it's time to start really worrying about them. They're looking nothing like they did last year, and they haven't changed much. They're looking like the teams have worked them out. They're playing to them, and Leeds are nowhere to be seen. So,
well, they are sitting in 17, so they're 3 points ahead of the drop. Look, I don't think they're going to go down. And again, it's still early days. But yeah, they probably thought last season we've got that. What did they finish last season?
Obviously, around that middle table.
12th, I think. 12th, 13th.
Yeah, they thought probably we could push on here if we get 1 or 2 signings in. Like Daniel James, he came in, they signed Jack Harris on a permanent. Like, they get these deals done. They probably think that in a few years' time we can be pushing for Europe. We have another good season, but they've just gone the opposite way. And look, like I said, plenty of time to turn it around.
I know you say we don't think they're going to get relegated though, Aaron, but looking at that ladder, who's playing worse than them? Like, besides Norwich, no one else is playing worse football than them. Watford, yeah, they've had one bad game, but have played a few constant games. Newcastle playing brilliant football, they're just not getting wins.
Yeah, well, you look at a Leeds, and I think Leeds are a big. You want to think that Leeds, now that they're in the Premier League again, they're not going to get relegated. But yeah, it could happen.
Them losing is all I've got at the moment, so I'm going to take it. I'm going to run with it.
Well, yeah, it can happen, but I don't personally see. I think they've got enough to escape that relegation. There is a few worse teams than them, but yeah, longer it goes on, the question marks over. I don't think Bielsa will get the sack. I think he'd probably have to leave on his own terms for them to get rid of him because he's a good manager. But you do need a plan. You need a plan B. Sorry, and when Rafinha's not playing, they don't have it. So.
They didn't have a plan A without him.
Yeah, there's no plan A.
Yeah, so something needs to change. They need a run of decent fixtures.
But the problem is they don't. They still haven't played City. They still haven't played Chelsea. They haven't played Tottenham. They've played Liverpool, United, and then they've lost to both of them. They've lost to West Ham. They've scrapped a draw against Watford. I agree. Every week.
They've had a pretty decent run. Yeah, they're not picking up the points, but yeah, I don't know what's going on with Leeds. It'd be frustrating times to be a Leeds fan, I think. But look, we look forward to the next game. It wasn't much to talk about. It was Norwich 0-0 with Brighton. Norwich picking up points left, right, and centre now. Look at them go. Still catch them on the bottom of the table, but Brighton, is this 3 points drop for Brighton? Is it 1 point? Well, how do you guys see this one, Campo?
It's 3 points drop for Brighton because of where they are and where Norwich is. But Norwich had the better chances of the game. If Pukki, put on his shooting boots, he could have scored 2 that game quite comfortably. But it was an off night for Pukki, and again, Norwich suffer another, a point in the Premier League is good, but they need to start picking up 3 and ASAP.
Well, it's been an off season for Pukki, I'd say. He's not really, he is their star striker at the end of the day. Needs to be scoring goals, I think, if any chance of surviving. But look, Norwich looked okay this game, so if they can build on that, they might be all right. I think they probably take a point. Yes, it's at home, but they probably take a point against a Brighton team who are sitting in fourth at the moment. So, yeah, I agree with you. It's 3 points drop for Brighton. They look at this game, and this should be a must-win for them. to keep their momentum going. Tony, what are your thoughts?
Oh, it's one massive point for Norwich, and it's scary to say that this far into a season, but we all think they're going down, but it's obviously for them that goal is to get above the record points, don't be the lowest points in the Premier League. So to come against the Brighton, where we sat here 3 weeks ago and we said, or whatever it was, and we said, if they win their game tomorrow, they're top of the league. Yes, they're still fifth, I think they are, but they're still dropping points, and they haven't picked up many points the last couple of weeks. The worst thing here is Norwich went around the keeper. All he had to do is put his foot through the ball, and he tapped it and got cleared off the line.
Horrible. Yeah, you're right there when you say that Brighton could have gone top of the league. They've now had 3 draws in a row. So
I'd love a draw.
their form's slipping a little bit. And look, you're never expecting a Brighton team to go and win the league, even challenge for a top 4, whatever. But it can be done if you pick up good results. And 3 draws in a row, one of them was against Arsenal. Probably should be doing a little better, especially the games against Norwich. What were your thoughts, Morty?
Well, their best player's in jail currently, so Brighton are on the slip down. This must be a record, surely. How many players have been get locked up this season? Who's next?
Man, they're building some squad, that Prison FC, let me tell you. couple new signings. They might break financial fair play, I reckon, given the way they're going.
But yeah, Brighton, they looked a bit lost without him in the middle. I mean, he's been on fire to start the season for Brighton, as good as Brighton can do, considering. So yeah, they'll have to look at how reassess where they're at. They're still not doing terribly. Like, yes, it's a draw against Norwich, but they had their chances. Norwich had their chances. They still kept a clean sheet. It's not the worst result for them. And Norwich, can people stop giving them points? Like, surely. I'm sick of it.
Oh, God. All right. Well, a team that was 2-0 up, stuffed it up, 3-2 loss, Villa against Wolves. Well, Wolves, I think we wrote them off I did. We wrote them off a little bit this season, but they're actually starting to get a bit more points. They're starting to get a bit of a run now. They're looking all right in 10th spot now. Massive poor result for Villa here. How are you 2-0 up and losing that in the 95th minute or whatever it was? Yeah, Tony, what were your thoughts on this one?
Oh, I mean, you look at even when that first goal went in the 79th minute, I think it was, for him to go back to 2-1, you thought, oh, okay, consolation goal, they should hold on. Then they got the equaliser, and you're like, oh, you know what, they'll hold on for a point. And then it was just a stupid free kick. Like, the guy wasn't even about to pull the trigger. You take him out, and you know what, lucky goal or not, Villa got what they deserved. You can't shut off against a team. And yes, Wolves have had struggles in front of goals, but we've always said they have the chances, and eventually those goals are going to go in. And they've put 3 away in 14 minutes. So fair play to them, and 3 points dropped from Villa.
Yeah, massive poor result here for Villa. But like you said, took their chances, Wolves, and mounted a good comeback and puts them in a good spot for the season. 3-2 win. Morty, what were your thoughts on it, though?
So I was recently pointed out to, if you actually go and look at Wolves' expected goals for the past few games, they should be scoring 5 a game almost. They were up there with Brighton.
The new Brighton.
More so because Adama just runs at the goal, but they finally look at they put some away. Like, that's 2 on the trot for them, is it now? I'm pretty sure they won last.
Yeah, they won last week.
Yeah,
3 on the trot double. 3 on the trot. There you go.
Plus the draw against Spurs, so 4 unbeaten.
And yeah, they come back from 2-0 down, shows some heart. It shows the players want to play, and I think they're just kind of working each other out. They're getting back to what they were doing, and they've just gone back to what works for them rather than that makeshift sort of thing they were doing without Jimenez up top, with Adama starting. Just go back to what worked for him. And Hwang Hee-chan looks like he's adapting well. One of the very few that actually adapt well from the Bundesliga.
Campo, what were your thoughts on this one?
I think it was the greatest comeback of the season, not just a good comeback. Wolves, me and Tony both saw, Spurs and United both played Wolves. We got lucky in both those games to win that. So we knew they do play well under this manager. Their style of play is very aggressive. You make a mistake, we'll pounce and we'll threaten. And it was always going to be a matter of time. And they fully deserve this win. It was a bit rough. They went down 2-0, but again, shows the heart of that team. And it just reminds me of Harry Kane's free kick a couple of years ago where it takes a deflection as well. Beats the Villa keeper, not stoppage time, just gave me full, deja vu of that. And then I just laugh at Aston Villa now.
Well, you did tip him to go down, didn't you?
Yep.
Oh, God. All right, Tony, I know you don't want to speak about it. You're probably a bit annoyed. I would have liked to get a post-game reaction on this one if it wasn't such a terrible time, because I don't think you would have been a happy man then. But as it reads there, Leicester 4, United 2. Give us your thoughts on the game.
This is slowly turning into my venting session every week. Just obviously it was poor from the start. I'm going to go as far as saying this scoreline flatters us, and we still got done by 2 goals. You put the blame on Maguire for most of those goals, but you've also got to put that blame on Ole for playing him when his first training session was the day before. So the guy hasn't trained more than 2 hours with the team. You put him into a lineup where you had to fit Eric Bailly, you had to fit Lindelof, who Lindelof's probably our second best defender at the moment. Like, what do you expect is going to happen in the end? You have Rashford, who played behind closed doors, played 90 minutes, doesn't get the start, but you play Maguire, who's trained. Like, he hasn't played any competitive football for a couple of weeks. So, I mean, Leicester deserved it. Leicester played us off the park, 90 minutes. I think one positive is Rashford got his goal, but besides that, we're in shambles, let's be honest.
So that Harry Kane one, you mentioned 2 hours he's probably trained with the... Do you think that is him...
Maguire or Kane? Harry Kane or Harry Maguire?
Maguire. Did I say Kane?
Yeah.
Oh, God. All right. Look, Maguire, you mentioned he's only trained for a couple of hours. Do you think that's him as a captain saying, I'm ready to play, coach? Put me in, and then Ole's just going, well, if he says he's ready, then I believe him. Or do you think Ole...
I think it was a stress. Ole looked at it and went, we don't have Varane. Luke Shaw's only his second week back from injury. He obviously doesn't trust Eric in that back line. That's obvious, or you would have played him. And Maguire probably has put his hand up and said, I'm good to go, but it's a tough one. If he plays and Maguire wins the game, you say, what a genius for bringing him in.
Absolutely,
but he cost us 4 goals, and I'll say 3 because arguably one of them I don't think was his fault, but he cost us that game. And does he start this week? Does he start when Varane's back, or does Lindelof get the nod? Because Lindelof's been 10 times better.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's the manager's decision. And if it goes well, it's probably Maguire that gets the applauses. But if it goes badly, it always falls on the manager. So, elsewhere, like you said, Rashford getting on the score sheet, it's good to see. Welcome back to him. But, it's just that game for you guys didn't go as planned. It started very well. That Greenwood finish was phenomenal. He is having a great season, which with the likes of Ronaldo coming in and things like that, you probably thought maybe he might get pushed out a little bit. But I think he's been given his time, and he's showed that he's more than capable of starting for this team.
But does he start? That's the thing. With Rashford fit, does Sancho go back to the right?
Well, I think I know Sancho played okay. He's actually been okay recently. I know he hasn't got the stats yet, but the longer that goes on without a goal or an assist, can you?
But he's not playing. He wants to play on the right-hand side. His best work in Germany was on the right-hand side. So does he bench Greenwood for a game and give that Sancho, Rashford, Ronaldo up top, or Cavani up top, or whoever? You could even put Greenwood up top in a game if it's a cup game. That's where Greenwood said he wants to play. He wants to be a striker. Give him that chance. See what happens. And I said this when we first signed him, Ronaldo's a massive signing. Don't get me wrong. But is it a bigger signing for the Premier League or a bigger signing for United? Because our football's gone downhill since he's got there.
It's definitely it's a marketing signing at the end of the day, I think. You take him back because why not? You don't want City to get him. You also take him back because he's United legend, and it's marketing. It sells jerseys and whatever. But like you said, they're probably better off without him. But does Ole have the heart to bench him? He's done it once.
Not a chance. Not a chance. The one time he benched him, we played our best football till he came on. So that's the question. That's the answer right there.
All right, I want to ask you, I think you said it the other week. Ole has taken this one as far as he can go. Time to go.
I think it's one of those things where if the board's going to back him, and it's a tough one. It's the same with that Lampard thing. Lampard dragged on a little bit more and eventually got to the point where Chelsea said, no, he's gone. They brought in your manager, Tuchel.
And you
He's
see
won a
what's
Champions
good.
League.
Yeah.
He's won a Champions League. There's not many, like Conte's not going to fit our team. He's not going to get along with the Glazers because he's not a yes man. So he's off the fin. But if you get someone like Zidane in, maybe he can spark Ronaldo. He's worked with Ronaldo. He's worked with Varane. He's worked with talented players. Do you run that risk that in a year's time, Zidane's not there, or in a year's time, there is no managers, or do you act now and bring another manager in? But in saying that, if they come in and don't work, then you've just taken away everything that we've built, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think like from a Chelsea perspective, I don't want to see Conte go there. He won us the league, like he was brilliant. I like him, but I think Zidane, if you can get Zidane, he's perfect signing. I think he welcomed that chance. Like you said, he has to work with Ronaldo again, Varane again. It's a new club. We've seen what he can do with Real Madrid. He won 3 Champions Leagues in a row. Like I think, yeah, Ole is probably time's up. Get someone who can take this club a little bit further. Not to discredit what Ole's done previously. I think he's taken the club in a good spot.
Well, when you think, before we jump onto the other boys, you say Ole's done a good job. If you asked me 2 years ago, am I getting angry at this result? No, because I don't think we can win the league. I don't think we can compete for those top 2 positions. Ole's got us to that position where we've gone, all right, you know what, there's probably a chance with this squad. And that's why I think he's done a good job, but it's time to realise you can't go any further.
Yeah. Campo, what are your thoughts on the game itself and this situation United's in?
I just couldn't believe, United, just a hoof over the top from Lindelof, found Rashford, and then just to give it up in a minute.
Don't call it a hoof. It's a great ball.
Great ball from a centre-back, but then just to throw it away, not even a minute later, that's unexcusable. Your defensive mids are walking. I couldn't believe what I was watching. For, a team that wasn't playing well to just throw it away like that, I couldn't believe what I was watching. But Sancho has to come under fire because Pepe did. Pepe wasn't playing bad, but he wasn't getting the stats and he was under a lot of fire. Same price tag. I think Sancho has to, but the media isn't talking about Sancho the way they were about Pepe.
Sancho's topping it. What media have you been listening to?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm seeing
you produce the most talking Pepe and everyone.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Sancho. Everyone's saying Sancho's playing well. He's not. I
didn't see one article on Pepe unless it was you talking about him. Every day I have a new article pop up about how poor Sancho's been playing.
Well, I must be the 2 different articles we're reading then, but I saw a lot of flack for Pepe, maybe because I just like to roast Arsenal. It always pops up. But
over this game, can we go to Morty so we can move on? I'm sick of it.
It seems like this game is a tricky fixture for United recently. Vardy loves a goal in this game. Disappointed to see he didn't hit the Ronaldo celebration. Would love that. He loves it. I don't reckon he didn't have the heart to do it, did he? Because he just knew that if he did that, Ronaldo's going to go and score up the other end and do it back. Morty, what were your thoughts on the game, man?
Do I have to say any more? Look, I don't understand how Matic still gets a run in the squad. Like, surely there is a young kid that can do a better job because Matic is a slug. You say the CDMs were walking, Campo. That was Matic at full pace.
I'd argue he's at most defensive midfield. Yeah. Fred wasn't there. McTominay can't play by himself. We've seen that. And I think for the most part, Matic was solid. I don't think you can pin that on 4 individual errors by Maguire.
You not me to roast Maguire? Because I'll happily do it.
This is the one time I'm going to allow you and I'm not going to defend it. Like, rip in.
Well, there is no defending Maguire. Maguire doesn't even have a defensive bone in his body. They're gone. The old slabhead. He's got concrete shoes. But yeah, Fernandes was missing. But honestly, like Ronaldo, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit here and not debate that he's one of the greatest of all time. But ever since he's come in, as Tony said, they have looked one-dimensional. And if you give Ronaldo that off chance when the centre-back's going to misread the situation, Ronaldo will finish it 100% of the time. But that isn't going to work when you've got centre-backs that all they have to do is cut the ball out or play the ball. They know exactly what's coming at them. There's nothing's changing when it comes up in the attack. There's no wider. Ronaldo doesn't move. You see his heat map. It's in the 18-yard box. He doesn't move. doesn't go anywhere else. He goes from the center circle to the 18-yard box and waits there. And yes, he'd be really good to bring on in the 70th minute to bring something else on up top. He's big, physical, still got some pace about him. Like, he could do a job, but playing him for the 90 minutes, the centre backs just get used to him and pocket him, and it's not going to go well for him.
But you can't. Ronaldo's not that player you can bring on the 70th minute every game. Like, he's not. You don't give him a super.
I know. I'm not saying that, but this is also the reason why you see players of his age always end up in the other leagues, because they get to have their fun and they get to do things. And I'm not saying Ronaldo can't still score goals in the Premier League, but for the United to be in that top 4, to be in that race to go above, I don't know if it can work, because his ego, or not his ego, but just him as a person isn't going to work for the team.
I think you've got to give it about 2-3 weeks with Rashford. I think Rashford coming into the lineup and giving that width is going to help Ronaldo. Because obviously Fernandes plays as a second striker, like we've seen it. But I think if he has Rashford who he can play that ball out to and sit on the edge of the box, I think you're going to get the best out of Ronaldo if you have that Rashford Sancho. You're going to get the best out of Ronaldo.
We could see, and it might work. Like, Juve made it work, but at the same time, they had the same problems when they came in. They were pissing off a lot of their other players because Ronaldo plays Ronaldo ball.
I'll take 10 straight Premier League titles if you're offering it to me now. I'll take that if I want to be like you there.
And that's the Italian league. Like, you look at them and they get battered every year in the Champions League by everyone else. So, yeah.
Tony, I want to ask you this question. Do you always feel bad for Ronaldo, the managers he's had to work with in his later years? He's gone from Pirlo, who's inexperienced, now Ole, who's obviously not too inexperienced as well. Like, do you always feel bad the fact that he's gone to a Juve team that good enough to win the Champions League, a United team that's very strong, probably could win the Premier League, if not Champions League, but he's having to work with these subpar managers late in his career?
Yeah, I mean, if you talk about it, do you feel bad who he's playing with? In a simple sense, yes. In saying that, I think he hasn't been at his best under Ole. He had his chances on the weekend to probably win that game for us. He had that cutback where he put it straight at the keeper's hands, where any other game he's willing away in a celebration. You feel bad for him, but I don't know. I'm over this game, if I'm being honest.
They might be able to afford a better manager.
Well, I mean, this is what we said. I think I spoke about this when we gave him the contract extension. And I said it was a bad idea, and now we're 8 games into the season and we're seeing that it was a bad idea. And if we do sack him, we're going to have to pay him out now.
The only problem is, though, whenever his job comes under threat, that's when he performs again. So
I can tell you now, with Atalanta coming up on Thursday, if we do not win that game, we go to, is it at Liverpool or Old Trafford, Morty? Do we know? I can't remember. Wherever we go.
At Old Trafford.
So if we go to Old Trafford and we get battered by Liverpool, I will be surprised if he's there Monday. Let's just put it that way. I think if we do not get at least, let's say 4 points, minimum 3, he's gone by Monday.
We said the same thing last year, and he's went on to finish second.
Well, I hope so, because we're playing you guys next. So, gosh, I hope so.
That's exactly. We played you at Old Trafford last time. It was at a pinnacle point. You still lost.
1-1. Wasn't it? Was it the 1-1 or was that the one we lost?
No, it was a loss. And then it just all came out. And then you went on to beat PSG and blah, 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 and finish second, etc. Still failed.
We just need to play every game in Paris, and we're going undefeated for the season. Just get Rashford in Paris. Let's go.
Well, the other team in Manchester are flying, 2-0 over Burnley. Comfortable result. I probably thought a bit more. We all thought a bit more. This is their favourite fixture. In their last 10 games. The last 10 games they've played with is 43-2 on aggregate. So they love this fixture. But 2-0, it's comfortable. It's just 3 points at the end of the day. De Bruyne scoring. So good result. Burnley probably didn't expect to get anything from this game, let's be real. And it keeps City in the mix, obviously. You don't want to be dropping points here. Morty, what were your thoughts on this one?
Well, I'll put in, I didn't expect the 5-0. Like, I was right in that aspect.
Yeah,
sure. Not everyone expecting the big one. But, there was no chance in hell Burnley were putting up anything. No, there was no upset here possible. And City go into Champions League with KDB firing and back looking fit. So, but we all know the Pep roulette, and he might end up being on the bench. So,
well, with Ferran Torres' broken metatarsal, he'll be up for I think a couple of months now. It's funny because Bernardo Silva was almost given the green light to leave.
He asked
now-
for it openly.
Yeah,
publicly.
he's producing these winners for him. He's scoring goals for him, and he's been one of the most valuable players. And he is a class player. So I think they're a bit lucky they didn't lose him. What do you think, Tony?
Yeah, obviously we saw this game going well. We thought Burnley were going to frustrate them, and I think to a point they did. It was 1-0 for that first half, and Burnley had 2 good chances in that first half. I was probably lucky this week that United game was on Goal Rush, so every time there was a chance, I got to see what happened in this game. And realistically, based on those first half chances, Burnley should have been up 2-1. If that's a Chelsea with an informed striker or a Harry Kane who's in form or a Salah, they're down 2-1. So, yeah, they got away with a 2-0 result here. But if you play against a good team and you let those chances in, that's when they're going to drop points. I think on the other side, Bernardo Silva, absolute masterclass. He's taken his chance. He's gone in. He scored that goal. Deflection or not, he was there. He was pouncing for it.
Mm-hmm.
So, good win for City. Good win moving into, I think they have Bruges in the league. Oh, in the Champions League, sorry. You'd think they get another win. Maybe they can rotate a little bit, and they're coming in fresh for the next week's game.
Well, if there's ever a game you want to play poorly and still come away with 3 points, it's obviously a game against Burnley or Norwich or anybody like this. So I guess I'll count their lucky stars that they did come against Burnley, because if they play like this against Liverpool, like obviously they play well with the first 30 minutes, whatever, against Liverpool. But yeah, they play like this against Liverpool and they're probably down 3-4-0. So
well, even Brighton, I think if you give Brighton these chances who they have next, they might put one away. Like, yes, they haven't been playing good football, but they can do it.
They've still been creating chances. So.
Yeah.
Campo, what were your thoughts on this one?
Chris Wood somehow missed he was right in front of the net, put it way over the bar. Again, as Tony said, they take one chance. City, might feel a bit nervous, might misjudge a header from the nerves, and it could have easily, this game could have finished either way at the end of the day. But, fair play. Edison kept his cool. City kept their cool, and they deserved the win.
Didn't play.
Edison wasn't there. It was the other keeper.
Was there a bit of rotation? I know Ruben Diaz was benched. Was he coming off an injury or anything? He came on 70th minute, so I can't assume. I don't know.
Because still recovering from the slide against Salah.
Oh, it's one of those things where, like we always say, Pep roulette, but you've got to start rotating people. Like, they're still in the Cup, they're still in the Champions League, they're still in the league. If you can rotate against these teams, especially this week when you've got an easier game in Burnley, an easier game in Club Bruges, why not rotate a little bit?
Absolutely. Spot on. All right, we're moving to my boys now. Chelsea 1-0 over Brentford. We did not deserve to win in the slightest, but
change that to Mendy 1, Brentford 0.
Look, we've come away with the 3 points. I think we deserved to go ahead at the time, and then after that, we got battered. That second half was a very, very scary watch, especially against a Brentford team who you just thought are going to get this result. We said it. Well, I definitely said it last week on the pod. Like, you wouldn't be surprised if they got a draw here or even a win. They deserved it. They created chance after chance after chance. And Mendy, absolute hero.
Post was a hero.
Yeah, Post as well. Keeps a clean sheet here. And some games, keepers win you. They just win you the game. And this was one of them. Massive 3 points for us. I'm obviously over the moon with it, but it wasn't a great game to watch on our behalf. Pretty poor. Lukaku scored offside. He needs to start finding the net again. Otherwise, could be similar Harry Kane question marks. Bit of a drought going on there. What were your thoughts on this one, Morty?
Are you worried when them still playing his back five?
Am I worried? No, because we were without Thiago Silva, Antonio Rudiger, and we still produced a clean sheet with Malang Sarr making his debut, a young Christensen, a young Trevor Chalobah, still getting a clean sheet. I'm pretty happy with his back five.
I'm not talking defensive wise. I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it and going, it's just hurting your attack. Like, Lukaku doesn't get to be Lukaku. He just gets to be a hold-up man, and you don't pay $100 million for a hold-up man.
I don't know if it's the defense that's hurting Lukaku there. I think it's the midfield that's probably hurting here a bit.
Yeah, but that's what happens when you play a back five. You struggle to get the ball out because you've got to play it out wide, and then you've got to move up forward as a team. You can't just be playing through the middle and going up through.
Because, Yeah, there's these teams that go and score for fun every week, like that Liverpool team many years ago. You'd score, but you'd leak a ton of goals. But here we are keeping clean sheet after clean sheet. You can't.
Yeah.
It's not often you can get both ends of the spectrum. So he's
Yeah.
he's doing this back five. It's working. Does it make for the best football all the time? No, but I suppose results is what's important. We're getting wins, so I'm happy enough. But yeah, I would like to see some more goals, of course, especially Lukaku and Werner.
No, I just look at it because, like, if you'd drawn or won against City, I wouldn't be questioning it. But you'd look like, you just had your plan A and that was out the window and that was all it was. And you don't have your plan B to just swap it up, to take a centre-back off, throw another midfielder on him, start playing a different kind of football to change a game. Now, you can eat your words because, like, you've come off Champions League win, but you're looking like, as a team, you can't play the same way. See, one season, it's got to be adapted. You've got to keep changing up because they'll work it out. And I don't know, I just look at it worried because, again, Mendy in goal saved your ass. Otherwise, this is looking like it would have been 4-5-1 because they were extraordinary saves. I'm blown away by what I saw at that point. And
I definitely agree with you. Like you said, like against City, we created absolutely nothing. Against Juve, wasn't great either. Come away with a loss there. So when it's not going well, you do need a plan B. And we say it again about Leeds, but with Leeds, it's not going well. Plan A is not even working for them. Whereas I suppose we're sitting top of the table, so you can't complain too much. But there are these games, that you should change it up a bit. What do you reckon, Tony?
Yeah, I mean, fair play. I think we've covered pretty much what you say. Mendy, absolute class. And it's not a one-off. He's been doing it since he's come into the club. He's been there in the games where you have got battered. He's won the 3 points or he's secured that point. And you're going to have those bad games. Like I said, you were lacking a leader. You didn't have that leader in that back line that you usually have. There was a young back line. You just got battered. You got away 3 points. You take it. You move on to next week. It's as simple as that. There's not much more to say. Lukaku, I thought it was hilarious when the guy pushed him so he was in an offside position. Fair play to the fullback. That was brilliant.
I'm not saying this is, but is that not a penalty? I'm not going saying penalty, but can it not be given? Because he's probably staying on side if he doesn't get pushed. That's a blatant push.
I think the biggest issue is if you give that a penalty to any push in the box. Like, you can't take into account that it was offside. Like, there's always pushing off corners. I think if Lukaku goes down and doesn't get to that shot, different question. It probably gets reviewed. But seeming he actually got that shot away, I think it's just pure genius, to be honest.
Yeah, when it works, it works. Fair play to him. Campo, what do you reckon? What are your thoughts?
I'm just wondering, does Mendy have a concussion with the save he made with his face? The man was saving with every part of his body. It was, just a goalkeeping masterclass for Chelsea.
If that's the NRL, he's up the ladder. He's up the tunnel for 10 minutes getting a HOA check. I'll tell you that much.
And he'd be off the rest of the game. Stars.
And Mbeumo must be fuming with the post in that game because I think he hit it twice. Just, very unlucky on Brentford, but we've seen what they're made of this year. They're going to attack. They're going to play without fear. And I'm worried when we come up against them.
Yeah, they definitely throw it to the big boys, and it's really good to see. It's entertaining. They're not just playing. At first, I thought they were playing this just sit back football, but they're not. They're creating plenty of chances. They're playing like they want to win games, and that's the difference I think between them and the Sheffield United. I like to compare them to them, but Brentford they want to go against the big boys.
Tooney's a baller, honestly. Surely a big club comes in, whether it's the Premier League or not. Surely a big club's coming in for him at the end of the year.
Newcastle.
It would probably depend. Yeah, it would depend. Well, he was at Newcastle. They released him for
Bad blood.
$1 million or even less than $1 million. So he might not want to go back there. But if he's offered
$1 million a week,
but look, credit to Brentford. They're an unreal side, and I suppose you see that week in, week out. But when your team plays up against them, you got to give credit to them. I'm chuffed that we came away with 3 points somehow. And we're still top of the league, so not too many complaints. All right, another 1-0 result here. Everton falling to West Ham at home. I predicted a high-scoring one, this one. I thought this would be end-to-end, but it's the one goal in it, Ogbonna with the header. Campo, what were your thoughts on
it? Great game. Oh, not great game, but entertaining for a 1-0. we said this game could go either way, and it just took a set piece. Everton fell asleep, for 2 minutes, and it cost them at the end of the day. So Rafa has some work to do with that, but with two, teams that are going to be pushing for Europe, West Ham just edged it.
Yeah, Morty, what were your thoughts? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, obviously Everton's still without some big names, still without their striker, still without Richarlison. But if you look at that team, barring those two, that looks like they're pretty much their full strength. So they are sitting all right. And West Ham, yeah, they got the job done. I can't bag anyone for beating Everton. No one likes them. They're a bunch of grubs. So yeah, the Hammers are on the up. Second best team in London.
Well, Everton, like you said, they're without their two best players, Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin, but that chance that Iwobi had, I don't know if any of you guys seen where he just completely misses the ball, air kicks. It's from a Premier League footballer, you're expecting better. I think from most footballers, you expect better. But yeah, without them, they need them back. Just easy as that to say. They need them back to be able to start picking up some good points, I think. Tony, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think I said this was going to be a close game. However, I went the other way purely because of Ted Lasso. I was pissed off at West Ham. Good result for West Ham. I said it a couple of weeks ago. I said that I felt like Antonio's goals would start drying up. And I think we're finding him in the same situation we're finding Lukaku. There's a big man. Teams are learning how to defend him. Yes, they're having shots, but I think the big men are starting to get figured out in this Premier League. You put a little pressure on them and their touch goes bad and they get away with a win, but it's questionable when your striker's in a bit of a rut, how he started the season.
Yeah, absolutely. He was, like you said, he started on unreal, on fire, and yeah, he's just dried up a little bit. But it's a different situation when if your striker's not scoring goals and you're also not winning games, you're also sitting, down there in the table. But Everton not on too bad. I think they're in 7th, and then like you said, Lukaku. So that's the issue that would arise if you can win games without your striker still scoring goals. That's the important thing.
But I think the biggest thing is the style of West Ham and the way they've played has gone downhill, like we said, when Europe started. How long is this squad going to last? Because they're already fatiguing. Their Premier League performance.
They haven't won off the back of a game after Europe.
Exactly. So they're struggling in Europe. They're coming off. They're
doing good in Europe, but they're struggling after Europe.
They're struggling after. So, is it going to come to the point where we're burnt out. We've lost 3 games in a row, and now we're under pressure. It's just going to have to play out and see how it goes.
Yeah. All right, we move forward to a crazy game for many reasons. Spurs getting the win over that $325 billion own team, I should say.
Look at that smile.
I'll let you take this one. Obviously, I want to mention that shout out to the medical staff and Regulon, everybody involved in that medical emergency. First off, is that's heartbreaking to see it's a game was stopped. I'm going to let you give us your thoughts on the game first off.
The game started probably the worst way it could have. Christian Romero turned into a blind Argentinian Stevie Wonder. He lost Callum Wilson, had no idea where he was, and we paid the price. But I always feel like when you score that early in a football match, your game plan goes out the window. Newcastle, they're up 1-0, they didn't expect to be. And then, Spurs grew into the game. Beautiful goal from Ndombele, followed up with a lovely chip from Harry Kane. And then, again, as you said, that the poor fan with a heart attack, they could have easily stopped that game because, crowds in distress. There was a big talk, should we stop the game now? Is it good enough to play football on when that's just happened? Thankfully, they did play on because we scored straight after it with Harry Kane putting on a platter for Son. And then John Joe Shelby comes on as a sub, I'm pretty sure. Mm-hmm. Absolutely horrid performance from him. Red card. And then Eric Dyer doing Eric Dyer things and with a lovely finish in his own net. Made the end a bit more sketchy, but we were always in control after we got the lead.
Like you said there, that early goal, I think it just with Newcastle, they've got this takeover. You think it's all going to change. They score 2 minutes into their first game with the new owners, and you think, oh, this is what life's going to be like when you're a rich club. But no, it was back to reality. Harry Kane, he's back. I want to say, like he shouldn't top scorer now. On Dombele with a brilliant goal, like you said, he's been really good for you guys. But then, yeah, John Joe Shelby, I think, just showed what it's like supporting Newcastle. When he comes off the bench, he's supposed to be that spark to get you back into the game, and he does the opposite. Gets 2 yellow cards within, 7 minutes or 10 minutes or something. Both dumb challenges that you probably don't need to give away. And, yeah, back to reality for them. I want to speak a bit about the takeover real quick. I'll get you all of you guys involved. Steve Bruce, he was given this game, which is his 1,000th game in charge of a team. He's got to go now. Who do they get in? I think he's got to go. Tony, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I agree he's got to go, but it's. I was listening to, I think it was Gary Neville talking on Monday Night Football, and he was saying, you've got to realise, even when City got this massive takeover, a big manager didn't come in straight away.
Yeah,
there was a manager, then they got Mancini, and he turned it around. So, yes, they've got to. Do they skip that step and get someone in who might damage the club moving forward, or do they stick with him for, let's say, to the end of the season? Give him to the end of the season, for example, and then get that big name manager. I don't see him pulling in for example, a Zidane if he's free, or a Conte if he's free. I think there's still going to be one more step, sign some players, improve a little bit. Okay, now we'll go for a big manager.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. You took the words out of my mouth. That was my next point. Like you said, you're not going to go and get a big manager straight. I think you need to look at who's available. And there's some names available. Eddie Howe. But is Eddie Howe someone who you'd get just on an early basis? And then is he happy to give up the reins in a couple of years' time or even earlier than that?
We were at the pinnacle of football when Sir Alex Ferguson retired, and we couldn't even draw a big name manager. We went from Moyes. We went to Louis van Gaal. It took 3 managers before we got to Mourinho. And now we're at Ole. We still haven't got that massive world class again.
Yeah, well, look, I know Wayne Rooney's name's been chucked in the mix just the last couple days, or today or so. I don't know if he leaves. I think if he gets the option to, he probably would, because he's already at Derby, where they're in a bit of a rut. They've got the financial issues there, and they're probably going to go down from the championship unless they can escape a miracle there. But will he improve this side? I don't know. I think maybe a bit biased here. I think Lampard would be a good short-term manager. I don't think he'd be a good long-term manager for Newcastle, but I think short-term Lampard would probably get you out of this rut, keep you up, and then. But it would suck for me. I wouldn't want to see him get sacked again, but it could be an option. I don't know who they go for. Morty, what do you reckon? Do they need change, mate, or do you stick with Steve Bruce here?
Big Sam, get Big Sam in there.
I was listening to Spencer Owen on a podcast, and the hashtag manager. He was saying, and I pretty much agree with him, that yes, they should be going after a Lampard. And I think Gerrard's name was thrown around. Just a manager that isn't probably going to be the best manager to bring you the titles in, but they're a manager that's going to bring some names to the club. Maybe get some players on the end of their career to help bring the young ones through. But I think a lot of their money has to go into their facilities and a lot of their improvements around the grounds first, because I think anyone's seen Newcastle's training facility, it's shambles, to say the least. And I think they've had players actually walk off being toured around the stadium. So it's quite interesting to hear that. But
I would argue that as a manager per se, that's not the right move for Gerrard. Do not come to the Premier League or a club where you're not. I get what you're saying. You're not saying him go there, but I'd be looking more towards that Lampard, who's been there. Yeah. Yes, he's been sacked, but he's got that experience. He worked with the youth. He can build a team. Chelsea were playing decent football. I think that's the way you've got to go.
I wouldn't want to see Gerrard there. I was just naming like an ex-player that's pretty much recent that probably has still played with some of the older players in the league that can probably grab the players. They have the money for the wage fees. It's just about the transfer fees that probably have to get them underneath. So that's what they need to put money into some youth, bring that in, and then just have a manager there that's just going to be a good people manager rather than getting that 5-0 win every week.
Well, you make some good points there.
Bruce out.
They do need to redo the whole club. like you said, facilities and stuff need to change. That manager, like you said, they bring in some big names. Like I know Thiago Silva went to Chelsea because of Frank Lampard, to work with Frank Lampard. So like not saying you probably get that high caliber of player, but he's an experienced player who could get in to, help steer the ship a little bit. The only issue here is this is a big project for him, a lot of money involved, fixing up the environment around the training ground and everything. They can't afford to do that in the Championship, though. So they need to fix it to avoid getting relegated. You don't want to get this takeover and then go down a league to then have to, because it could be a tough issue getting back up. You're not going to then go and track the same players, the same manager in the Championship. So they need to stay up first and foremost. And it's going to depend.
I think because financial fair play is plain on for a certain year's backdated, and the fact that they've spent absolutely no money is allowed them. I think they have a war chest of 189 million. I think they're allowed to spend without breaking for this next summer. So
yeah, but realistically, you do what an AC Milan did. They got done for financial fair play while they were rebuilding. They said, no worries, we won't play in Europe for 2 years. Realistically, Newcastle's not going to make Europe for 2 years. So yeah, take the fine, build a team.
Yeah, like you said there, like Milan, yes, they're probably a bigger club than Newcastle as a whole. They've had some European success, but just for a few years there were, sitting down. But it's just that's an example of what's to come, I suppose, with the takeover. Like Milan now back in the Champions League, you're back amongst the top Serie A clubs. So yeah, it's a good sign of what could go Newcastle's way if it all does go well.
But let's hope they get relegated.
It'd be funny, but
it would be funny. But I'm actually enjoying the fact that there is more money in the Prem. It just means that each week there's more games and less Burnleys in the fucking league.
Do you reckon a minute into that game, their owner was like, "I'm selling this club for 500 million tomorrow"? Like, how good is this?
Well, I hope it encourages those teams that do have money to start spending their money. Like Southampton, for example, I know they spend a bit, but they're the fifth wealthiest club in the country, and they're not spending their money. There's plenty of clubs that have the money to. Everton, for example, but they don't spend their money. So I hope this doesn't. Yeah, I suppose that's an example of a manager that's come in and helped rebuild the club. Jurgen Klopp, like you see where he started and where he's at now.
But so I hope this doesn't a different level to Newcastle at the moment. So
yeah, but
almost in the league 2 years previous.
I just hope it encourages. Like you say, it's football's evolving. Money is going around like crazy. So if Newcastle's going to spend big, the top four is going to spend big. So I hope to see these other clubs start spending big as well, because it just levels out the playing field, I suppose. Yeah, pretty crazy game. We're going to move on to the Aston game. So last game, it's been a bloody long pod, this one.
That's what I was just thinking.
Plenty to talk about. It was a lot, but let's just try to sum up this game.
The first 30 minutes has been United and my depression for half of the podcast anyway.
Yeah. Well, let's just try to sum up this Aston game as best we can. Celebrating a 2-2 draw with a 95th minute equaliser and knee sliding into the home fans. Is it really a sign of the Arsenal Football Club? Tony, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think it was more an absolute, let's say, a frustration release for Lacazette. He's struggled. He's not getting that game time. For him, it looks embarrassing as a club celebrating that, but for him, that was massive. He's got his goal. So fair play to him. Fair play to Arsenal. They dug into the 95th, but Palace can feel hard done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Palace definitely hard done. They probably thought they could get something here. Patrick Vieira probably would like to win there against his former club. And look, we've lost Morty. He's bored now. Too long for him. See you later, Morty. He's obviously gotten a phone call there. Campo, good. You love to see this result here, obviously.
It was I hate both clubs, but Crystal Palace, 97th minute against Brighton, they conceded, and now 95th to Arsenal. They're switching off right at the end, and it's cost them 4 points now. Patrick Vieira came out and said, we got to stop. You got to play the full 90. You got to stop switching off. It's becoming an issue. But fair play to Arsenal. They scored early again, and then they kind of sat back, didn't do as much. It wasn't until Benteke scored that they really started to go, oh crap, we're in a game again. Push forward. Conor Gallagher, another good game. Without doing too much, he was always in their face, pressuring. He caused the mistake for the second goal. And then, he tries his guts out every week.
Yeah, well, we had that save that Ramsdale produced off his volley, top corner. But yeah, entertaining watch for the neutral. Arsenal probably should be getting more from this game at home, but I think it just shows that Palace are a good team this year. They're fighting with their heart on their sleeve, and Patrick Vieira's doing wonders there.
Well. Yeah, he's got them playing well. They're looking a lot better than what they did when he first came in. Yeah,
definitely. Right, well, we're going to wrap this one up because, as I said, it's been a long one. We've lost Morty in the process. He was fed up, so
he's had enough.
Good riddance.
Yeah, we've got a massive few weeks coming up. There's Tony probably can't wait to start speaking about Ole out. What happens with the new manager there? Who knows?
I don't want to speak about it. I'll always. Oh, here we go. And we got Morty back. I don't want to speak about it. I'm wearing a jersey still. I'm watching every game still. I'm backing him while he's there. I just think it's time for him to himself move on.
Yeah. All right, Morty, we'll get your final quick thoughts on the Arsenal game before we wrap this up.
That's a joke. Vieira for sort of the bloke.
Yeah, that's fair.
Brilliant. All right.
You're playing Palace. Get over yourself. I don't care if you scored in a year. Get over it. But yeah, fair result.
All right, well, this has been the Football Tragic. We'll see you later in the week.
See you.